Hey, what's good, my people? Billy here with Kizomba Harmony, and I'm back with another video blog or vlog or whatever. So today we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to our hearts: foundation. What is it, right? And the reason I'm making this video is partly because I'm asked a lot, what is foundation? Because the term is thrown around a lot on social media and in person. It's used a lot by different people, especially more now these days in marketing. You know, everybody's talking about foundation or foundations. And so, you know, it can be difficult to navigate everything that you hear and see. So hopefully with this video, I'll clear things up as much as I can through a video for those of you who are wondering what foundation means, at least to us. When we say foundation, when we're talking about the importance of foundation, what we mean. And part of the difficulty is that foundation is more about what you feel than what you see. You really have to, feel the difference. And that's kind of how this became a hashtag, is because we said it so many thousands of times in classes, because the things that we focus on in our pedagogy, most of it is stuff that you can't really see visually until you're trained to recognize it. So you really have to feel the difference. But hopefully with this video, I can help as much as I can to kind of clear away some of the confusion, okay? So before I begin, this is what we feel foundation is. I can only speak for myself, okay? I can't speak for everyone, and I'm not saying that my view is the law or, set in stone, but this is what we mean when we say foundation. So, let me get a little sip. I guess in a nutshell, foundation is about 90% of what makes a great social dancer, in our opinion. And, foundation it's not as much what you do, but how you do it, why you do it, when you do it, where you do it. I was asked once, is foundation foundational steps? And yes, foundational steps is a part of foundation, but foundation is what happens in between the steps. And I know this sounds abstract, esoteric, and maybe a little artsy-fartsy, but it's really how you do the steps, when and why you do the steps. It's mainly, and I guess I'll tell you kind of some of the things that we teach when we talk about foundation. Movement quality is a really, really big one, okay? And under movement quality, there's a lot of things, and going into everything is beyond the scope of this short video. But how you move, how well you move, and movement quality is things like conditioning, range of motion, and some of the terms that are thrown around or used to describe certain aspects of movement quality are things like Ginga or Banga, right? And Ginga is a term that describes body movement. Sometimes a lot of people think it's just about like moving your hips or, booty waggling, which is what basically is happening a lot these days. But Ginga is not just about what you see. It's about how you feel, right? The idea is Ginga is body movement that makes you pleasant to dance with, right? And I think that, there's been a lot of, I guess because of the power of marketing, people are starting to sell Ginga and Banga on one side and the isolations on the urban side. And I'll get more into that in a second. But yeah, so movement quality, how well you move, leading and following with your body, how connected you are. If you're stiff, for instance, that's not an indicator of a strong foundation, in our opinion, right? You want to be, smooth. Smoothness is something that is often attributed to a strong foundation. But of course, a lot of people tend to call a lot of people smooth, right? People like to use the word smooth. But when you feel the difference, when someone who's truly smooth, when you feel it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And a lot of this stuff, again, you have to feel the difference to really get what I'm talking about. But hopefully this will at least point you in the right direction. So, part of foundation comes from conditioning, right? And we talk a lot about African dance foundation because that is one of the best ways to condition your body, to build this foundation. And it's not just you go take an Afro House class, do some Afro House moves, and all of a sudden your foundation is strong. No, it's about the movement, okay? It's not about the steps. For us, and tribal dances for us have been a good one. For instance, we dance Mutwashi and Chakacha, which is a Congolese and Kenyan/Tanzanian dance. And that's been very good for us as far as conditioning our waistline, conditioning our legs, conditioning our feet, things like that. Conditioning is a big part of the foundation. So, I guess making certain muscles strong and conditioned, building, strength, flexibility, things like that, right? That's part of foundation. Lead and follow ability, control, things like this are foundation, okay? So movement quality, feeling, connection, lead, follow, conditioning, things like this. These are things that count under foundation. Now, part of the problem with foundation is that the term is thrown around a lot, and I think it's misused by a lot of people who don't really have a strong foundation and don't even really understand what it is. But it just sounds nice to say, yeah, foundation. And I say this as someone who, years ago, we didn't have a strong foundation, but we always talked about the importance of foundation, even when our foundation was weak. It's just that now we focus so much on it that now foundation and movement quality, things like this have become our specialty because they're our focus. And so because of that, we're in a very good position to be able to speak on what it means, because we've gone from 0 to pretty good movement quality now. And it can be difficult to showcase foundation because, again, foundation is not about steps. It's not really about the visual. So it can be difficult. So we're trying in our own way to market foundation, just showing some of the things you can do when you have a strong foundation, like smooth movement. Like recently I posted a video of me doing Mutwashi winding, because even watching it, if you don't really understand until you try it and you see how difficult it is to do what I did, then people are starting to say, okay, so this is one of the things you can do with foundation. But marketing foundation and showcasing it is very difficult. And so that's part of why we're doing this video, so that, some of you who are wondering, this will help you, point you in the right direction when you're trying to figure out, what does it mean and where can you go to, learn, right? So foundation, it's not about the steps, okay? And so, sometimes what happens is, especially like, for instance, urban versus Kizomba, I talk about the importance of foundation and that urban is basically just a style based on Kizomba, right? And so the idea is you have to learn Kizomba and Semba in order to become an excellent urban dancer, which is what we believe, and also the creative urban believes, and pretty much every great urban dancer also believes. But, that doesn't mean just learning the steps. And so sometimes what will happen is I'll say something like, it's important to learn Semba, and what happens? People will go and learn Semba show. They'll go and find the flashiest teacher out there doing a bunch of Semba show tricks and foot flicking, footwork, and all that kind of stuff. That is not foundation. That is flash. And it's happening on the Semba side and on the urban side. There's so much focus on footwork, tricks, flash, and that sort of thing that, because that stuff is easier to market, to get likes and get shares and get attention, right? That, that's kind of dominating, I guess, social media, YouTube, that kind of flashy thing. So that's what, people are assuming, that they're thinking, okay, that means these are the best dancers because they're the flashiest. And that is not true. Usually the truly great dancers aren't necessarily the flashiest ones. It's not necessarily the ones with the most likes and the most shares, because in order to get those likes and shares, you have to do something visually, you have to do something that's in that 10%. It might be footwork, it might be tricks, it might be using sex appeal, right? Or putting your bunda in the video the whole time. These days, if you look up Kizomba, or you look up urban, or you look up Tarashinha or whatever, you're gonna see a lot of bunda, a lot of ass in the video, right? And although that is, entertaining, well, it's kind of giving a skewed impression of what Kizomba is really about. But that's a whole other topic. But, just being able to wiggle your booty around is not foundation, okay? So Ginga, on one hand, what's happening on the Ginga side, this is normally on the Kizomba Semba side, a lot of people are selling like this very exaggerated type movement and calling it Ginga. Like it's like this wonky thing. It's like really extra and exaggerated, and everybody's trying to focus, especially the women, because the Jing is being sold mainly to the women, that, you know, they're focusing so much on like moving their hips and moving their butt around, but it doesn't add to the dance. It detracts from their following because they're so focused on trying to make their butt move that they're not actually dancing. Ginga is supposed to facilitate your dance. It's supposed to make you feel better to dance with, not worse, right? So, you know, Ginga, just the visual aspect is not, that's not foundation. How much you can wiggle your booty around is not foundation. On the other side, on the urban side, there's a lot of people doing pop, pop, pop. I call it pop, pop, pop isolations. If you look, and you'll see on YouTube what I mean. Everybody's wiggling the booty around. Some of them are very talented at it, you know, don't get me wrong, but that's not foundation either, because a lot of that stuff, it would not work in social dancing. Like the really crazy stuff, like most people don't social dance like that. And it would be really weird to see some of the stuff that looks almost violent. That's not foundation, that's styling. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But that, when I say foundation, don't go and look at these booty pop or booty wiggle videos and think that that means the foundation is strong, because that is not necessarily true, okay? Because foundation is not really a visual thing. Smoothness, control, natural movement, these are indicators of a strong foundation. If it doesn't look natural, then it's probably not what I'm talking about as far as foundation, okay? Another thing, you know, when you're looking for a strong foundation, you want to go to a teacher. You're like, okay, I want a strong Kizomba Semba foundation. Be sure to look beyond the surface, okay? There are a lot of people out here who are basically just riding on, and this is especially true for people who are African or black or Palop or Angolan or whatever, and they're using this to kind of, and especially the culture thing, to say, this is my culture, so I know my stuff. Just because you're from a Portuguese-speaking African country, or because you're African, or because you're black, and I say this as a black man, doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about. It doesn't mean that you have a strong foundation, all right? Now, I said that Ginga is often kind of overdone, but at the same time, people with a strong foundation have a nice Ginga. If you don't have a nice Ginga, you don't have a strong foundation. And there are teachers who promote themselves as great foundational instructors, but they can't move, right? And some of these same instructors are the ones who often you'll see them attacking and talking crap about other people's foundation when their foundation isn't strong either, right? But that's also a whole other topic. If someone doesn't move well, foundation is not strong, okay? So it can be difficult to look at a video, and because I'll say this now, and then people will try to like start having Ginga now, and they'll start wiggling their booty around. But one thing that you can look at is, often what happens is, because people want to show that they have a nice Ginga, they have a nice movement, they do this exaggerated booty wobbling thing, but they can't keep it up for long because it's not natural, right? So you'll watch a video, maybe in the first 20 seconds or so, you'll see a big amount of booty wobbling. Or, you know, when their booty is facing the camera, because it's usually just, you know, it's got to be about the camera, they'll start wiggling their bunda really hard, and then when they're not facing the camera, the movement goes away. If the movement is not consistent, then it's not natural. And that's why a lot of the times when people are trying to show how much their Ginga is, when they're forcing this movement, it's not comfortable. It hurts, right? After a while, after maybe 30 seconds, it usually hurts. It's not natural. Now, of course, the conditioning process aims to make the unnatural feel natural. Don't get me wrong. But when you're social dancing, especially after you've developed the foundation, your Ginga should not hurt your body, right? It shouldn't hurt. And it shouldn't feel bad to whoever you're dancing with, right? So yeah, that's just a couple things to think about. So what you see in videos, it's not necessarily, you know, it's tough to parse through all these videos until you've been trained. So my main advice to you guys, if you're looking to, you know, if you're trying to understand what foundation is, there's really no substitute for investing and training with instructors who focus on foundation. And I don't mean instructors who just say foundation or use foundation in their marketing terms. You want to invest in instructors who have demonstrated a commitment into building foundation. And I'm not just saying that because that happens to be our specialty. I'm saying that because even years ago, when our foundation was weak, we knew what we needed to work on, and we just worked on it. It's just now that after all these years of work, we've become somewhat experts. You know, no, I'm going to claim it. We are experts on foundation and movement quality. I'm just going to claim it. No need for false humility there. But yeah, you know, it's very important. So If you have questions, I can help you. If you want, me to point you in the right direction, feel free to hit me up. Don't do it on this video. Don't hit me up asking me about instructor ABC, because if it's someone with a weak foundation, I'm not interested in humiliating or shaming anyone. I think that sort of thing is tacky, and it does way more harm than good. But if you want to, if you have questions, we've trained with and taken classes from many of the people in the industry. We can point you in the right direction. Of course, also, if you want to learn from us, we'd be happy to teach you and help you out. But yeah, smooth, natural, controlled movement, an absence of stiffness or jerkiness, except sometimes when a little bit of a jerk because of musicality. But your movement, your base movement shouldn't be violent, jerky, stiff, wonky, overdone, or forced, right? And we're going to be putting out a lot more videos in the future to talk about and try to demonstrate what movement quality looks like. But again, often what happens is people will put out videos, and then they don't train, they'll just watch a video and try to mimic it. Trying to mimic what we do is very difficult, because what you see in our pedagogy and our style is just literally the tip of the iceberg. You really have to just train. You have to train it. And then once you train it, then we train you, or another instructor who focuses on foundation will train you on what to look for, right? Our students now know what to look for when they're looking at foundation, but most importantly, you really have to feel the difference. There's no substitute for that. So yeah, I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. I'll try to recap. So foundation is about not what you do, but how, why, where, when, that kind of thing. It's what happens in between the steps, although foundational steps are part of foundation. It's about how you move. It's about your conditioning. It's about your smoothness. It's about, natural movement. Once you train it, it's not going to feel natural when you first train it, unless you've been doing it for 30 years, like someone who comes from a movement culture. But once it becomes natural, it should never feel forced or wonky or overdone. Everyone who talks about Ginga doesn't necessarily have a strong foundation. Everyone who's good at moving their bunda around doesn't necessarily have a strong foundation. Because remember, if it doesn't translate to your social dancing, it doesn't matter. Right? If you can pop, 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 or isolate or whatever. And I say this as someone when our waistline winding is a type of isolation, but there's a lot more going on other than just the waistline, right? If it doesn't translate to your social dancing, it's not a part of foundation. Okay? So yeah, hopefully this has been useful for you. If you have questions, feel free to hit me up. Again, if you need advice or you're looking for instructors, hit me up privately, because again, I'm not trying to humiliate or seemingly talk crap about other instructors. I think that is not a good look. But if you have questions, we're here. If you're looking to train, we are obviously available to help train whoever wants to build their foundation up, because again, it's 90% of what makes you a great dancer. And it's our focus, because our mission is to train up the best dancers in the world with the best attitudes. And the key to that is foundation. So, whatever you're looking, if you're a student, you're looking to get better, focus on foundation. If you're an instructor looking to get better and improve your pedagogy, focus on foundation. Even if you've been teaching for a long time or you've been dancing a long time, I guarantee you there's something that needs work in your foundation. And I say this as someone who's always working on my foundation literally every day. So I hope you found value in this. If you like it, please, share it, and stay tuned for more videos, and we'll try to demonstrate some things, not just by talking, but also by showing. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Peace.